Walking Blind is hosted by overly emotional dudes who overthink and overanalyze everything. Nothing the hosts say should be taken as medical advice or opinion. They're not professionals, and they're about to make that very clear. So just kick back and hang with them, because you've earned it.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Walking Blind podcast. I'm Mike. That is...
I'm also Mike.
Yes. And this is episode 20, which is a big deal. And because it's such a big deal, we have a very special guest today.
So we want to preface this and start by saying this. He has been the special guest for like episode 5, 7, 11, 18, and now 20. And he's finally here.
He's here.
So when Mike was like, "Hey, I think my brother's gonna come through," and I was like, "Is he?" And he's like, "I mean, I think so."
Dude, I even got cocky, and I went on one of the lives. I was like, I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm pretty confident. Next
pretty
week,
sure
my brother's gonna be the guest. So go ahead and fire and question. You know what I mean? And then sorry. But yeah, this is my brother Mario.
So this is the younger, older brother. Which one is it? I'm not too sure.
The older brother. Yeah.
So the story has now become basically legendary about when Jesse walked up and was like, "Hey, this is what you have to look forward to." And your mom finally met Jesse the Saturday of the show.
Oh yeah,
because Jesse was at the house. We were all getting ready to leave. And your mom comes down. They're all getting ready to go to church, and then Mike's like, "So this is Jesse." And Mom's like, "Oh, hi, Jesse. He's the one that said the statement." And she's like, "Oh, hi, Jesse." It was awesome.
I mean, I think in Jesse's defense, though, it was pretty dark, right? I mean, it was a dark room, dark space, and so hard to see.
Yeah, well, that's probably the best argument that we've had so far.
It's hard to see, but I mean, Mikey's facial expression, I think, is what. Because you could see the second that it registered what he had just said.
Wait, what?
It was pure sadness.
When it registered, it was no.
Dude, I literally was like, I need to dye my hair.
I'm so glad you haven't yet. I know. I feel like it's coming eventually, and the second that you do it, you're gonna be like, I shouldn't have dyed my hair.
I don't think I'm gonna have that. I don't think that'll even cross my mind.
So this is episode 20?
This is episode 20.
Now, have you guys had, I mean, look, I wanted episode 20, to be honest with you. Like that's what I was shooting for. I was like, whenever they do episode 20, that's when I want to be part of the show. So
yeah, you don't want to be no random
18 or 19.
I don't want to be at the early stages of this show. I want you guys to flesh this out and get lights and figure this out before I get on. Yeah.
Now, I don't know if people know this, but when I walk into Mike's the space, I mean, it's nice. Like, this is a great setup,
Thank you.
And so it's neat, especially with Mike, is we're talking about one of my first memories of Mike was when Mike was in high school.
Yep.
And I remember I come into the academy, and this is when I knew you were off to great things.
I'm scared.
When I was parking the car, so you were in the parking lot, and we were with one of your classmates.
Okay.
And I parked the car, and I see Mike and the classmate next to the car, and
it was my girlfriend.
It was your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Your girlfriend. And so
sorry, Amy.
So I looked at them, and I didn't know what was going on. And then I mean, are they crying? Are they fighting? What's going on? And I walked over, and I discovered that you guys had sprayed mace into the air. You guys, you told that story. So they sprayed mace in the air, and then the wind brought it back and hit you both. So both of you couldn't see.
So
you thought you were witnessing a breakup?
Yeah, I didn't.
You thought things were ending for good? No, so what happened was my girlfriend at the time, of course, had like mace on her keychain. And she goes, "I've never used this before." And I go, well, you just flip the red switch and then you hit the button. She's like, what do you mean? Because she's like, it doesn't work. And so I go, no, you flip the switch. And then I was like, and then so we turned this way. I go, let's face this way. We're not going to spray it at each other's eyes. We turn this way, and she's like, well, does it come out like aerosol, or is it like, and you know, pepper spray comes out like just a liquid jet, right? So we turn this way, and then she presses the button, or I press the button. I don't remember which one of us did. Probably me. I don't know. And we press the button, and then it shoots out, and then just turns back around and flies mostly in her eyes, a little bit in mine. And I think I played it up a little so that she wouldn't feel so bad. But I was like, oh no, you know. And she was, yeah.
But I just remember like walking both of you guys. I think I was holding both of your hands to the office
so that we could get water and rinse our eyes. Oh man, yeah.
I was like, great things. Mike is in store for great things, and this is great. Like,
that's fair.
Look at us now.
That's fair.
Look at him now.
Yeah, it was a telling sign of what my love life would be as I got older. Just team train wreck all the way. So I guess we'll go back in time. When I came to La Sierra, when I moved back here from Atlanta and came to the school, my cousin was playing baseball at the time. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know, I'll throw a baseball around with you. And then I think I met Mike first because he approached me and saw the gauged ears and was like, oh, you're not from around here type thing.
Like, no, I'm from Atlanta.
You have gauged ears, you can figure out how to throw a ball.
Yeah. And then it was like a slow and steady recruitment process because Mike was like, you're not from around here, huh? You want to play baseball? And I was like, I don't know, maybe. And then you come into the picture. So, and then I end up playing baseball for La Sierra. So, yeah. So it's been.
And for 2 years, you played for.
I only played a year.
You came senior.
Yeah.
Oh, you're senior.
Yeah, because the first year when I came in, I don't think I could play because I think I was new student in the school, and there were some weird rules about like being a transfer and not being able to play that first year. So I was kind of like on the sidelines, just kind of throwing a ball. And I was working Wally crew at the time, and I built the
Dang.
field. Did I never tell you that?
No.
Yeah, I basically built, like, I laid all the concrete for all that because the way it worked when I got here, I had all my credits basically to graduate. There was just like a couple little classes here or there that I had to just like bring my grade up and clean up. So I had like my senior year at La Sierra was like, I started my morning with PE, and then I went to like 2 classroom classes, like it was like English and economics. And then I had like weight training back to back with Coach Thomas. And then, okay, now it's to go straight to work. So like by 5th period, I was just working Wally crew. So like everybody's in class and I'm driving the tractor down the field, you know. And then so then we built that's how I learned how to lay concrete. That's how I learned to do all that stuff. You know,
that was like a rite of passage, though, kind of being part of Wally crew. I mean, that's, you know,
made you strong.
Yeah,
made you like man.
That's why I lack a lot of life skills, because I didn't work Wally crew. Dude, you know what's crazy about what eventually became the baseball field was right before my senior year, our principal, Bud Moon, rest in peace. I remember him talking to me about how the university field had already been taken down by my senior year. And he said, he's like, yeah, I'm working on trying to get all that piping, even though it's old, and just bringing it to the academy and building a big backstop and actually making an actual baseball field here.
Yeah. That backstop was big.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, that's amazing. He's like, you'll never get to play on it, but it'll be really cool. I was like,
I mean, I guess technically you kind of played on it because you were coaching and you were.
I mean, not the same, but yes. Yeah. No, I remember that was cool. I remember all that happening. And yeah, because a lot of games were at La Sierra Park. Yeah.
And I remember that time period too, because there would be days when I was late to practice because I was working, Wally crew, and I'd be like, on the chapel with like a paint sprayer, and I'm like painting the roof. And Mike, I'm on my way. I'll be right there. I gotta finish this. Like stuff like that. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting time frame.
In fairness, I would rather feel the wrath of us compared to the wrath of Wally. So
True. Yeah.
yeah.
Nah, that's true.
Makes sense.
Well, I think that was the thing though. I remember when you guys were in high school, like, we would have those things where, you couldn't say something, or if you said something, you'd have to run, you remember? Mm-hmm. And if you
most running I've ever done in my life.
And if you got hit by a ball, we'd buy you a big gulp.
Yeah.
Remember, like those types of things. And I mean,
guys leaning into the plate.
I don't know if the punishment. I don't think we really struck fear into a lot of people's hearts.
No.
When we were coaching.
Like I have the utmost respect for you, Mario, but I don't think I was ever scared of you.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's
hey, just you gotta catch that ball.
It's right at you. Ball it would have hit you if you didn't put your glove in front of it. But
it was definitely it was an interesting time. It was an interesting time frame. But the team ended up being a pretty good team.
Yeah.
Like, and it was a good group of guys. Like we've run into Renee recently. We've been running into Renee a lot.
Yeah, I was with Renee yesterday.
Yeah. So,
but I think that's kind of the cool thing, because you kind of get to do life at a certain season, or like a chapter.
Yeah.
And because like you have these vivid memories of you guys when you're in high school.
Yeah.
And then, to see you guys afterwards, it's super cool, because here you are adulting. Like, we're in Mike's house right now.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Like, he was like talking about remodeling his kitchen just a second ago. I mean, like adulting, He's got 2 dogs, so clearly he's responsible,
Kind of.
They're alive and well.
They take care of each other more than I take care of.
That part's neat, because like with Renee, I just saw Renee yesterday. Yesterday. We went... And so he's got a daughter who's just turned 8, and so like
she's 8 already.
It's crazy, yeah. And so our kids, we went and hung out with them, and it's just so neat to be able to now have this kind of like this type of relationship and season. And anyway, it's been cool, very cool.
I do have one confession before we move on from baseball.
Oh, here we go.
So I remember you guys had us run laps, and I hated running. So what I would always do is I would run with Gus, who, happened to be one of the slower paced runners. And what I would do is I would run with Gus, and whenever you guys would turn and look, I'd like rub his back, like I was trying to motivate him to keep up with the rest of the team. Man, hey, come on, you got this, bud. Like we got this. And then you guys would turn around and be like, all right, I can pace myself a little bit more. I got the sprint speed, but the endurance just doesn't cut it for me,
I'm good for 60 feet, and then I have to take a rest.
I'll get to first, put me in the outfield. I'll get to the ball, but
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, one more last thing on the disciplinary thing of it. So we coached. One of the kids we coached was this guy named Ryan. Well, I got to coach his younger brother, Jeremy.
Oh yeah.
And Jeremy, like, I think he was just way too comfortable with me. He's way too comfortable with me.
He grew up around you.
Yeah, he grew up around me. So he was so he would just swear all the time, and I was like, Jeremy, like, dude. And running wasn't enough. And plus, he was like he might have been like our only catcher. So it's like, I need you to like, I can't have you just like half the practice just running.
Yeah.
And so then finally I was just like, dude, every time you cuss, $5. $5 every time you cuss. And like, we bought baseballs with his money. I think we bought like, we were able to get like a bunch of stuff. Like, I think we got to use his money like to go out to eat. But yeah.
To be fair with Jeremy, it's so built into his vernacular that even now to this day, like he's still the same.
Yeah. But I was like, dude, I can't, like, you're missing half of practice with how much he's running. I was like, we gotta do something else.
Yeah.
So that was beneficial for the team, I think.
It's like, but I'm in really good shape.
Yeah. Anyways.
That's awesome.
Well, want to go into mental health checks?
Let's go. Yeah, let's do it.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
I was so tired today, but we had a long weekend.
Mm-hmm.
we didn't get. We sound like an old married couple, but we didn't get to nap this weekend.
Dude.
So there was no weekend naps. We kind of like.
And just to be clear, we don't nap together.
Not together. Well, it depends. We nap kind of at the same time,
yes,
but just not in the same bed. Yeah, not under the same roof.
Yeah,
generally. So we were out until like 4 on Friday. We were at Taco Bell at 3 a.m. on Friday night, and then went to sleep for like 4 hours. Got up to get my hair cut. Little did I know that would lead to us being in LA all day.
All day.
We were gone all day.
With 4 hours of sleep?
With 4 hours of sleep. We got home. I mean, I got home probably like what, 11? Something like that?
Yeah.
Had to be like right around 11. And then got a few more hours of sleep, got up Sunday morning, worked out, went to go check out the apartment. And then was just going on Sunday too. So there was just it was like there was no rest this weekend.
And then back at work today.
And I was at work today with a like brand new hire class and everything. I'm like, just have like Red Bulls in the fridge, just eyes half open. But yeah, other than that, I'm good. We had a sponsorship for this episode, so we were. Is it Academy Mortgage? Is that Chris's company?
Wait, what? What's that? What? Is he really?
Oh, I mean, we got angel tickets.
I'm like, wait, what? Did we?
When you say we,
we'll discuss this in a little bit.
Okay, sick.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
So thank you, Chris, for those. We got.
Dude, I would have worn my T-shirt.
But you're wearing the Angels jersey, so you know.
That's true.
And yeah, I mean, kind of just getting back into the groove of things for this week, and then, yeah.
I think you're still technically riding that good wave.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the. The wave's kind of like it's not quite a wave anymore.
Yeah.
It's like when you're just coasting and you're just waiting. You're like, just let me at least get all the way back to the shore.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm at right now.
how much am I gonna have to swim before I get back?
Yeah, hopefully, I could just kind of sit down at this point.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll go. So I also am very, very, very tired. Although I did get to nap today. So, but like Mike said, so on Saturday we were getting coffee, and I figured it'd be like a typical. I thought Saturday would be super low key because how late we were out on Friday, and so we're getting coffee. It's like 10:30 ish, and Mike is talking to Martin. I forget whose idea it was, but somebody had a good idea to go to LA for lunch. And like my first thing out of my mouth was like, dude, what about like we'll take a nap? That was like literally my only concern for that. And then it's like, it's being adventurous. Let's get out of the IE. Let's go somewhere. So it's like, so let's go eat. And we did that. And like Mike said, we didn't get home until like 11 that night. And then I had to be up at 4 the next day for work. And then so yesterday for me was nonstop. So from work, I went straight from work to pick up the PA from Joe. I let Joe borrow the PA.
And that's how you ended up recording the stuff?
Well, later. Oh. So literally straight from work, I met up with Joe, picked up the PA from Joe. From there, I went to practice for Burner State. Burner State practice, I met up with the family for dinner. And then from dinner, I went to meet up with Joe to record I do voice work now. I'm a voice. I'm a voice.
You're officially a voice actor.
Got paid and everything. And so
I'll take that.
And so I did the voice thing, and then I went home. And we watched what's that show called? It's the Lakers show.
Lakers show. Like the show.
Is that good?
It's good.
I
think it's really good.
I've heard it's great. I just haven't watched it.
I really like it because I don't know. I don't know much about the Laker history.
Yeah.
And then
we're like Googling the coach, like what happened to this guy?
Yeah. It's like it ends up like
kind of ended with them kind of.
Oh, so you guys watched the whole season?
Well, we've watched.
It's on it. They've released 5 episodes so far. Okay. And so so we watched that yesterday.
I have so much to catch up on, but I have this anxiety thing where I don't like watching new shows because then I'm going to be up binge watching it. So I just put on old shows that I've already seen 1,000 times and let it play in the background.
I guess I kind of do that.
Yeah.
The weird show I always go back to is Arrow.
That's fair.
I don't know if I've been to that out loud before, but yeah.
It's the salmon ladder, isn't it?
That whole show is just ridiculously like, if you're good looking, like, can you, it doesn't even, it's not like, can you act? It's like, no, like if you're good looking, you're on the show.
Yeah.
That show is insane.
Yeah. So, okay. So, tired as well. So I'll continue that. But, like
He's
right
the father of 2 daughters.
Like, so right now we're kind of waiting on an offer for our home. So we're kind of in transition. And, that's been a little bit more than what I was anticipating, because I think when you move, you kind of forget that there's a little bit more in play than just, all it's. So that part has been, it's been good, but it's been a little, it's been a little overwhelming with.
You just remember all of a sudden the whole stress of.
Man, yeah. But I've been fortunate because I have, I have a very flexible wife. Sarah's been great, and our kids and have been, but it is different, and especially in this kind of this season right now to be transitioning. But other than that, it's funny. I know it's been a couple of times that we've tried to make this happen, but I've been looking forward to kind of sitting down with you guys, and you guys are doing all right with your interviews and stuff. And I was like, dude, Mike, you guys are probably going to have this is going to be like your least watched.
You'd be surprised.
Show, because like they're going to be like, why why get another family member?
I will say this though, it is very hard to compete with your mom.
Yeah, she's
for anybody. Anybody.
Yeah. Mom should have been the closer.
Yeah, definitely the family.
Hey, but you guys haven't had dad yet, though. You bring dad on this show?
That's true.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that they have interesting stories. Like it's been so. But yeah. So, health check is good. It's I'm on the wave too. And still moving.
So you guys are selling the house that you have currently because you moved to a new
church. So we're at a different church, and so we're in Beaumont, the metropolis of Beaumont, which we have loved.
Yeah.
I keep telling people we got an In-N-Out there. There's a
In-N-Out. There's Cornerstone Barbecue. There's Raising Cane's.
Great. Yeah, Raising Cane's. Yeah. We've loved it. Like we've been close to Oak Glen. Yeah. And it's been like the kids love it. We get snow at Beaumont. Like it snowed at Beaumont.
Yeah.
But the commute, and it's not even the commute, but it's like with the girls starting school, it's going to probably be at La Sierra, and so anyway, we're heading in that direction.
All right, now, do you guys have a new place lined up already, or are you gonna?
So right now what we're gonna do is we are going to move with in the Chateau de Perez. Ooh. That is with mom, dad for the next, I think, few months, and then it gives us some time to kind of look for something.
Well, Mike, when you get kicked out, there's always a spare room here for you.
I keep warning Mike. I'm like, every time I bump heads with mom or dad, I'm like, this is it.
This is it. He's like, is that room ready for me yet? Or
hey, well, this is not a bad place to be, man.
No, yeah, I know. I'm
good. So with the new now, it's been how many months since you moved to Corona?
So we got there in September.
So
we've been there. What's 5 months? Right? It's October, November, December, January, February.
Yeah. It feels like just yesterday. It feels like just yesterday that you.
So this is the thing maybe people don't know is that when we were interviewing, and we weren't really telling anybody that we were going to Corona. And so Mike, I can't remember where we were at. Mike said, "Hey man, that Corona's looking for a pastor." I'm like, "Oh really?" Knowing that I had interviewed,
right?
And so Mike's like, "Oh, this was at the graduation thing."
That's right. Yeah.
And so Mike's like, "Hey, I just want you to know that if you ever came to Corona, I would be there once a week." Or no.
You said once a month.
Once a month.
I'm sorry.
Once a month.
Was it twice a month or was it once a month?
It was once a month. Which I've already failed on apparently 6 times now.
and it just put a smile on my face because I knew we were in the the interview process,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna need to get that right, and I think that's what it was.
In Mike's defense, it wouldn't just be going to church because I feel like they'd rope you into doing work.
So we suited up for your first sermon.
and looked very dashy.
But Mario, let me tell you, both of us struggled to get into those
I was
suits.
running that week hard.
Yeah. We struggled to get into those suits. And then it was weird because I was walking around. Everybody thought I was Philip because I looked like my uncle. It was like this whole thing. But then immediately after the first sermon, I start getting these texts and calls, not even from you. Hey, Corona really needs a sound guy. Like, oh, cool. The people up in the booth, they're very inexperienced, and nobody's actually trained in sound. You did go to school for this. Oh yeah, cool. Hey, I think that I think they need new microphones. Could you start researching? I'm like, wait, what? What's going on? So.
But
I'll be there.
But yeah,
and yes, I will help.
But I'll tell you, but seeing you guys there that week was
We literally came suited up.
They suited up. Yep,
suited up, and it was hot that day, wasn't it?
It was hot that day.
Yeah. We were sweating. Our suits were too tight. The buttons were not wanting to button up all the way.
But there you were.
There we were.
There we were. There we were.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, and your family is awesome. So Mike's aunt, cousins, your youngest cousin actually is like Mike, and Mike, an amazing musician. Like he's 10 times better than
both of us.
Very talented.
He's the musical, what is it? Prodigy.
No,
yeah.
You guys are.
He
has no business being that good.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about this, but he has no business being that good.
He has no business being that. Nathan. I stumble across YouTube videos of like covers that he'll put out, and like he won't say anything. He won't tell any of us. I subscribe to him just so I would know. And then it would be like randomly, like there'll be like a song from like what was that Disney movie that he did?
The Hercules one?
Recuérdame. Well, was it not Encanto?
Yeah. No,
Coco?
you're talking,
Coco. Yeah.
Which I haven't seen.
You're missing out.
I don't know.
Isn't it? I'm sorry. Isn't that like one of the few like Hispanic Disney?
Well, it's Coco and then Encanto.
I haven't seen Encanto either.
They're both bangers.
I know.
They're both very good.
I
Very
want
good.
to see
Very
them.
good.
I want to see them. I know.
Your nieces would love to see them.
I feel like I think in a weird way I kind of held off on Encanto because like I'm gonna watch that with my nieces because I've seen Frozen with my nieces like several times.
Because I know you, I'm gonna tell you this: with Coco, you're gonna cry at the end just because it's heartwarming and touching. With Encanto, you're gonna cry because you're gonna be like, it's like the black sheep of the family thing.
Wait, what? That's good.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
So he did a cover.
So he did a cover of one of the songs, and just randomly he comes up on my YouTube feed of like things you might know, and there's like 19,000 plays. It's been out for 2 days, and I was like, Nathan,
wow. Okay,
Nathan, what is this? He's like, oh yeah, I really like that song.
He's so good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He's so good.
Okay. Well, you might need to send me that. I need to check that out.
I'll send you the YouTube channel. He does
cool.
Frank Sinatra covers.
No, really.
Fly me to the moon. Like all this. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, real deal.
This is but 10 times better than what I just did here. Yeah. So, but he's very involved with your
with music. Yeah,
music.
He does. So we have like a praise team, and he does. He's one of our leaders, and he's he's phenomenal. He's great. Really, really great.
I guess maybe someone picked up on this. I don't know if we've mentioned that you're a pastor. Did we say that?
I feel like we've said it in all 19 episodes leading up to this, but not this episode.
So my brother is a pastor, and I mean, amongst other things, he's really good at golf.
Yeah. So there was a brief stint in time when Mike and I got into golf.
Dude.
We haven't golfed since then.
I haven't golfed since then.
And Mario brought us out and was coaching us on our swings. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, you guys are both athletic, so you guys wouldn't have any problem with it. But it's a little different.
You wouldn't be able to tell looking at these bodies. But
What happened is when I started working. Really?
That's right. Yeah.
So when all the fun stopped. I stopped hiking. I stopped doing everything.
You started working, and then we both of our bands started to get more serious also at the time. Both of our like little fun side projects.
Yeah, but why do you have to take that out on golf? Like, why does golf have to lose in this situation?
Because we're not very good at it.
There's that.
Yeah. It's hard.
Golfing's fun though.
It is, yeah. But it is funny because I mean I do like golf, but I mean I didn't really grow up playing golf. Like it was always basketball and baseball or these other types of sports because typically, I mean not. How do I say this? We got Tiger, right? But when I grew up, really,
we're not seeing a whole lot of us. Us out
the
there.
TV is the contrast to the TV.
I'm glad you bring this up because it's something I was like talking to him today. I was just like, dude, I really want to like ask about how you got into golf. You know what I mean? Because like, not that it's uncommon, but like, there's not many of our friends. Like I don't have any memories of many of my high school friends playing golf.
Yeah.
I remember like people in my high school playing golf that obviously did not look like me at all. But they were also like they had money, and like their families golfed. So they got into golf type thing. I don't remember ever just like, us like little hood kids being like, oh, we pick up some, like if anything, it was like, here's a tennis racket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of got into it actually really because when I was in high school, I had kind of like our youth type of leader type guy was actually at the church that I'm currently at, right? So he was at Corona, and he kind of got me into it. And I think the reason why he got me into it is because his daughter was my girlfriend at the time, and so. And so he would.
We get it now.
Yeah, exactly.
He would take me out and we would play and he would belittle me. No, he was.
I would do anything for love.
But it's kind of smart because psychologically he beat the shit out of my brother.
Yeah. Let me find ways to just.
But I enjoyed it, and it was so different from I think what we and so. But the hard part was clearly the financial thing. And so when I was in high school, I would play once in a great while, and then you'd play like at 4:00 when it's like the cheapest to play, and But anyway,
right in the sun, it's hot,
or it's like super hot during the summer. Yeah.
I don't know who. I don't know why, but I've had like several memories of different people telling me like, dude, yeah, like your brother's always down, but he always picks like the worst times to go, but it's always the cheapest. Like your brother's like always down, doesn't matter. Like worst time of the day, he's like, let's go then. No, it's cheaper.
It's been fun. And what's nice now is that now that I'm older, it's difficult to kind of run and do stuff in knees or whatever. But I can still swing a club, which has been cool. So that part's been fun. But yeah,
that was a selling point for me. I think Eric Smith was the first person to like put that in my head because I was like, you golf? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, dude, how much longer are we going to be able to actually do like active sports? He's like, golfing is something you can probably do for forever. I was like,
Yep, it's fun. Enjoyed it, but yeah, I mean, I think that it's something just to have. I know you guys talk a lot about mental health, having something that you can having something that you can decompress in. And so that's one of the things that when we were kids, when our dads always said to us, he's like, hey, you just make sure that you're taking some time to, and he would always use the word decompress. Go run, go play basketball, go, do something that is going to, and sometimes in my line of work, having just some time to do that is incredibly helpful.
Do you ever golf with people that go to your church?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. That's usually the best because when that
That's
happens,
when you see the real side of people. That's when you see the real,
No, I mean it's great because you get a chance to. You're outside and you're hanging out, and on Sunday I actually played with some friends of ours, and I ended up having like an hour conversation with one of the guys that I was playing with after we ended up playing. Now, my wife didn't like that all that much, but it was, it's something that it's funny because sometimes when I'll golf and I'll be golfing with people and they don't know what I do. And then at some point in time in this round, they'll ask me, hey, so what do you do?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm like, I'm a minister. Well, what? I couldn't understand you. And they're like, well, that was the point.
Yeah.
I did a,
No, you let me drop all those F-bombs in front of you.
I'm a man. I'm a man of the Lord.
No, and but I've always enjoyed that because you don't doing ministry isn't make an individual any different from anybody else. Right. I think sometimes there's that association that this guy's doing that, so obviously you have to A, B, or C or whatever it may be. But we all in the same boat, and so. But having these different relationships that I've had since high school, like I love the fact that you guys, I go to high school together, but you've known each other for years. You have these friendships, and so I have those as well, and those have been very cool. And a lot of those guys do golf, so it's been we get to do old stuff together.
So I do kind of changing course a little bit, but first. You are right about golf and decompressing because whenever I play golf, I can't focus on anything else other than trying to hit that ball that's in front of me.
It's so frustrating, but it's also fun for that mental break.
Yeah. But having that, I think having a mental break is.
We would go to the driving range and we wouldn't talk for like an hour. We're just, and then then we take a break for 5 minutes, like talking, and then go back just like an hour, just nothing. But so kind of shifting gears a little bit. I totally just blanked on where I was going. I went back to golf again. I totally lost my train of thought.
Do we want to go back? Because I had the stuff that I kind of wanted to talk to him about more of like what his job entails as far as like the mental health side of it.
Yeah, that's where I was going with it. Yeah. Okay.
So one of the things that I was excited to get you on here to talk about is just the fact that, I don't know, I would imagine for most people when they hear pastor, they imagine, it's someone who has to, he's up there giving sermons every weekend, right? And I don't know what else people would think of that, but, being, our dad's a pastor, and my brother's a pastor, so seeing it my whole life, they get at odd. It doesn't matter when it could be in the middle of the night, whatever. Like you guys get some pretty heavy phone calls, and the difference. Like I was on the way here, we were talking about this. Was for myself, I've had people share some pretty heavy things with me, and. I've had to go to like a funeral before, but, for my brother, it's not like he just, people will reach out to him, but he's also had to be there like in hospitals with families, when there's been an accident, if someone's fighting for their life. You've been there when people have passed away. You've been there to have to speak at funerals. You've had to do like the heavy stuff. And so I guess for me, one of the things is like, I know you kind of just mentioned golf is a good way for you to kind of get away and probably something for you to clear your mind from that. But I guess I don't know how to frame this well. But what goes through your head, I guess, or what do you do to kind of prepare yourself when you hear something like let's just go recently, because you said recently you had a pretty tough one. So like, what's something that like goes through your mind when you're having to be involved in something just super difficult, like the situation you were in? Was it last weekend, or this?
Yeah. We had a 21-year-old passed away, And I think the thing that those situations are difficult. The thing that has been really neat, I'm going to get into it, that I've really have noticed is that what you guys have been doing in terms of the importance of bringing up mental health and bringing up, it's been neat because it is something that we clearly see today that needs to be talked about, needs to be discussed. In my realm of, or kind of the what's been, I think the thing that I've kind of learned is, you mentioned hospitals or visitations or all of these difficult things in ministry that come as part of it. I think about 2009, right after I think you guys finished high school, I did a chaplaincy program. And so in this chaplaincy program, it was like 16 weeks, and I was at a hospital. And so they had us kind of go into these different rooms and kind of meeting patients, and they'd only call a chaplain when stuff was like kind of going south, right? So we kind of go into these rooms, and we were hit with all sorts of things. And then afterwards, we would kind of talk to the supervisor, and the supervisor would tell us, okay, hey, well, what did you say? How did you say it? And one of the things that I was discovering is that in those situations, I was doing everything I could to get out of the room.
You were just trying to get
I was like
clear of it.
Yeah, I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to. And so I remember they would make us do these things like a verbatim. And so we would write down, okay, what did you say? What did they say? What did you say? What did they say? So I had this verbatim. And so I remember one of the first verbatims I turned in was, there was a mother who had passed away. We're there with the family. And I went in there. And in my mind, I thought, I had done what I was supposed to do. And so the supervisor looks at it, and he kind of went through it, and he says, he said, so you asked if you could pray for them right there. You said, and the thing. I said, yeah. He said, why did you do that? And so I said, well, because, I thought it was a thing to do.
Yeah.
And he said, no, he's like, you did that because you wanted to get out of the room. He's like, you were trying to pray so you could leave. And it was one of the first times that it just kind of hit me that, in that situation, I didn't want to be there because I didn't know what to say. I felt inadequate. I felt like what, and as this, my time went on, the thing that I took out of the whole experience, my time there at the chaplaincy program, was that, you got to go, you got to go in there with your own skin. We have a father who's in ministry, but I'm never going to be my dad.
You're not going to be your
I'm not going to be my dad. And so you go into these places, and you got to go in there with your own armor, And the biggest thing I've learned is just, the importance of just being present. Not, when you're talking to someone, you're not thinking about, well, what do I have to say next? Rather than just kind of listening.
Which is kind of hard to do, especially in the beginning.
Oh man, yeah. And so there'd be times when I'd be talking to someone and I'd hear something and I wouldn't know what to say, and to try to say something that is, I don't know, kind of like cliche or something. I don't think that's, in kind of going back to what my, our supervisor was. He was kind of our guru, and I was ducking. We'd have to do these one-on-ones with him, and I was ducking him.
He's like,
I was ducking it because he would.
Did you say, how about them Lakers?
Yeah. Yeah. Why are you talking about burritos? Yeah. Why did you bring that up in your? But I was ducking it because we would do these verbatims, and I'm in this class, and we're all of different faiths and different in this chaplaincy class. But I was the youngest one in this class at this time, so I was in my early 30s, and everybody else was kind of they're all and he would meet with all of us to kind of break. I was ducking him, and he knew I was ducking him, and so he said, "Hey, how about we go get Hawaiian barbecue?"
Ooh, dirty. Dirty. You're not going to say no.
Oh. Sweep the leg, Johnny.
Always sweep the leg. And so when I went with him and we sat down and we were talking, and he said something to me. He goes, man, he's like, look, the reason why, he's like, you probably pick up that I kind of jump on you a little bit more because the reason I do that is because when you talk, he's like, I hear myself when I was your age. And he's like, I think there's some things that where you're at, right? I don't even know if you guys want to get in, but that, he's like, you have to be yourself.
Right.
Because if you're trying to be someone else, if you're trying to say the right thing, or if you're trying to present the right facade, or he's like, that's not gonna work.
Right.
He's like, that's not you. That's not who you are. And he said something. He said, he's like, and you are good enough. And it's like, it hits different when there's Hawaiian barbecue in front of you. It really does. It does. Yeah. It's different. But I think the thing that I took from that whole experience, I think for me that was the start of, this idea of in these moments that are difficult to, you don't have to say the perfect word. You don't have to, you want to just authentically be there for people, and say, sometimes I've just been like, I am so sorry that really sucks. And that's
it's valid. It's fair.
So, yeah.
So that kind of like sparks a question then, when because you are coming from a family where your father was a minister, right? Mm-hmm. And then of course, when you're going through your life, you're going through different schools and places. And then, was there like this, did you feel like your dad was like a mold that you had to fit in, or were there other pastors that you looked up to that you felt like, I have to be like this person, or I have to act this way? Or was it,
or like I like his style.
Yeah, I like his style. I should do that. Because for me, I know like throughout the years I've been like, oh, I like the way he does this, and I like kind of like being the new kid every year. I'm like, oh, I gotta mold and shake and move and kind of adapt to whatever.
Yeah.
How much of that played because you just said like that's when you kind of became more of yourself than anything else. Yeah. So what was that like?
Well, actually, that was a struggle, because I think when I was in high school, college, I didn't think I was going to head into ministry. Like, I wasn't kind of what was really on the radar. I was, kind of getting into college more, thinking maybe more. I thought about PT or maybe business, and then education. And then when I kind of went away for a year, was in Spain for a year, came back, had some experience there, but came back, and through these experiences out there, having an opportunity to, because we were at a school, and I was one of many that spoke Spanish, but we were at this high school, and I was kind of one of the chaplains. And the reason why I was one of the chaplains is because they gave you a little bit of a stipend to go pay, and then I'd use that stipend to go get food.
So you had a bigger per diem.
I had a
little more motivation.
That's fair.
And the thing that I found through that experience, though, is that it was really neat to have. I had some great conversations with some of these high school guys that were kind of going through stuff, and what I kind of started to discover was that being able to kind of have that relational dynamic with these guys kind of started to, and not so much. Just what I found is that people would come and talk. Hey, do you have a second? Hey, can I run something by, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And so anyway, kind of came back, went into ministry, thinking about going into ministry, but I struggled because, again, I wasn't my father. Like that's not, his personality is a little bit different from Mike's and I, where I think, Mike's personality is more, I think, more dad's. I think I'm a little bit more mom. But I knew that was never going to be. And so so for me early on, I thought, well, can I do ministry? Because that's not me.
Yeah.
And so, I've had some great mentors, that again, kind of encouraged me to continue kind of, walking in with your own armor, like you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that kind of answers the question, but, yeah, I mean, there are some, I think, some individuals that have been very, very instrumental in my walk, but going into ministry, for almost 20 years, I did youth and young adult ministry.
Yeah,
and that was something that also really kind of grew me, because when you hang out with high school students, and you guys know this, like, if you're not yourself, they can smell that.
Yeah,
like they can totally smell that. Like you cannot be one way and then be another way later. Like it doesn't. And so I think all of those experiences, they just kind of, have continued to find this, because I think we continue to grow into who we are.
And I will say that, like, you know, in your younger days, quote unquote, we talked a couple episodes back with our buddy Joey, who was a kid that grew up going to shows at the Vine, right? And just I don't think anybody ever relayed to you, or we never really told you like how much that meant to all of us, basically, like having a place to be able to play, and like you even let it, like me and Mike Miller and Austin practice there, you know, and then Mike was like, you guys all played baseball, so it was probably to keep you guys out of trouble type thing. And I was like, now that I think about it, that's fair, you know?
For someone kind of new to what's happening here, so like several years ago now, it's crazy. My brother would let us basically run shows out of the youth room at the church he was at the time, which was in Riverside. And like we threw a lot of shows there. We had a lot of bands come through. We had touring bands come through.
We had a lot of really good shows there.
Yeah.
Really, really good. The Unafraid to Burn music video was shot in the gym at church.
Yeah.
Full on boom arms and everything.
It really did. It was helpful for us because I remember it was, you know, for one, it was us having to book these shows, make sure it ran well. It was like the first time that we had to be like responsible and like policing people, like, you know, like, yo, this is a church, like don't smoke, you know, like, or like
go down the alley and out of the parking lot.
My goodness, dude, we had, I remember I spent like an hour and a half, like after the show, it's like late, and I spent an hour and a half just walking around picking up cigarette butts, and I'm like, and I know these are my friends, like, I'm like, anyway, but yeah, so that was something that's cool. A lot of friendships that stem from that. It's talking to Joey about it. Like I didn't realize it's cool to hear someone talk about their experience from that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Because it became. I think that the Vine became so much bigger than anybody ever thought that it would. You know, like everybody. At first it was just like, there's a room that we can play shows in. You know. And then like, I mean, that's where even to this day, some of my closest friendships were like there, formed there, like, you know, there in Showcase.
I was getting a haircut. I'm sorry, with Jake. Yeah. And he was like, I can't remember who he was talking to, but someone came in and he's like, no, man. He's like, I've known this guy forever. We used to play shows at his church.
Yeah.
You know, and, and, you know, and when we were doing them, I remember, it's been cool though. I've worked with some really cool people, because let me tell you, like sometimes like that could be difficult for some individuals to do kind of what we were doing there. But we had people that were like, man, we got to make our young people a priority.
Yeah.
And, you know, whether it was cigarettes outside, it didn't matter, because you guys it was just neat to have just a space where you guys could come play. And, you know, I was like, I remember one time I asked Mike, I was like, hey, Mike, does you know, so-and-so have a shirt on that he can put on?
Dude, you're laughing.
Mike is like, he's like, yo, man, I don't even think he came with a shirt.
it was Matt from the Greenery.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me. And he probably didn't show up with a shirt.
100%.
I jumped straight out of the band with no shirt.
100% no shirt. But, you know, it's thinking about this now. I remember, like, we were still doing shows there. A Palm Beauty Rest. We did a tour with the Palm Beauty Rest.
Yeah. And
that show came through the Vine. And I remember for them, they were kind of like, I could tell they were a little like, "Why, you're playing at a church?"
Yeah.
I'm like, trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah. It's gonna pop off.
It's gonna go off, and it did.
Yeah.
And they were like, I remember them being like blown away. They're like, "Dude, that was so much fun. That's crazy," because it's not a big room.
Yeah.
And it was packed. Like we'd pack out this little. I'm sure we broke all kinds of codes.
There's so many code violations.
Yeah, but it was. Oh man, it's cool. It really did. I really feel like that did a lot for like the whole Riverside scene, which is kind of crazy to think. Teaching them how to like be like, we'd have backline.
Yep.
We'd backline. You know, we'd make sure like guys were quick about getting in and out. You know, being respectful to the place, and yeah, it's cool.
It's such a wild time, and the fact that you were so instrumental in all that, like, is, you know, You probably single-handedly saved a lot of Riverside hardcore,
dude, for reals.
Like not even like if I really think about it, like because at the time there was nowhere else in Riverside that was doing or even allowing people to put shows on. Like I think years later they had shows at the other church down the street, the Ship, in their gym, and that only lasted so long. Yeah. We played a show there, and somebody got thrown through a window, and after that, for the Creative Void record,
then like the pastor get punched or something, like sucker punch or something crazy.
So. My bad.
Yeah, that wouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't have happened if it was the bomb.
But even in those shows, it wasn't about like we would just kind of welcome everybody being here. But then that was it, because we just I mean, I think sometimes just kind of being in a space like that is uncomfortable for people. And we wanted everyone to feel comfortable coming to I guess to a church. It was a little different, but it was those definitely some good memories. Yeah. in that.
So, I guess I have some questions going to. Also, something very interesting, kind of going off of what like Mike's question about like styles and then finding your way and trying not to fit the mold of dad. Something that's kind of interesting, and it didn't hit me until mom's retirement party. So growing up, we were never pushed to do like ministry. Like, I don't think dad ever had a talk with like, hey, if you go to this school and you go to do this, you can become a pastor. I've never had that talk with my dad. I doubt you ever did. Like, and we never had that like really pushed on us, and the same thing with social work. My mom never was like, this is the steps you need to take to do social work. And it's just funny. Like it hit me at mom's retirement party. And it's like, oh shoot, you went into ministry. Like, dad, I went into social work. Like, mom, like I know this is gonna make me sound really stupid, but like it really didn't cross my mind up until like this point, because I was already at Lost Year. I was already like doing like on my way to do social work. It's just in my mind, I thought what my mom did was different than what I was going to do. And then I was like, oh shit, it was like the same. Oh, weird. We literally did what mom and dad do.
Dude, I have a really weird story about that. After 2010 at Warped Tour, I came home and I was like, hey, I need a real job, right? I start working at Loma Linda as just an electronic document specialist, which is scanning paperwork, right?
I like that title.
Yeah, electronic. It sounds professional. And then every time I would try to leave Loma Linda, they would offer me, here's another position, right? Here's another position. So, and then I would get like these promotions and raises. And then one day, like out of the blue, right? Like I'm talking to my dad, and it clicks that I'm doing the exact same thing that he's doing. Like my job just evolved into like, now we're talking like ICD-10 coding, and we're talking billing, and we're talking he's like, oh, he would be like, yeah, I'm just stressing out because we're trying to get, all the Medi-Cal billables out. And I'm like, oh yeah, because you got to meet this 90 day. And I'm like, and we both, the moment it happened, both of us were like, whoa. And we both started laughing.
Dude, I didn't know. That's awesome.
But now I've shifted out of that a little. I'm still in healthcare, but not doing the billing stuff. Yeah. But it was like, there was just a definite moment of like, whoa, this just happened.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
I have more questions. This is my opportunity. My brother and I are pretty open. We talk about a lot of stuff, but I've never been able to ask this thing. And this is something that has had a big impact on me. And I've always been curious, because I don't think I've ever asked you in detail, like, dude, why this?
Was it the pepperoni under the cheese?
That's just a pro tip, man. And
was it the multiple cups in your locker for all the different fast food places? Because I learned that from him.
But so one of the things, so for anyone who doesn't really know me, the fact that I did touring is probably crazy. Like to my family and people who know me, like they understand the band thing. I got into that when I was pretty young. Cool, I play shows. I think the traveling aspect of it was probably pretty. It's crazy to me now that I'm like back in like my life, and I'm not like like the thought
You're
of
not
touring,
gone all the time.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't want to do that. Like, why would I do that? But anyway, so one of the things that got me was, and I don't know, I guess my question is, like, where did you get the freaking balls to like leave to do things? Because, you know, at the time, I don't know if you had someone that you saw, like, you know, like for instance, for college, my brother went away for college. You know, he went up north, so he left home. And I remember thinking like, damn, it's crazy. Like he could have had, he went to play basketball, but he could have easily played basketball here.
Yeah.
And I remember him like leaving for that. And I remember thinking like, dang, that's crazy. I don't know if I could do that. And then he went to Spain for a year. Like when did you leave? Like your junior year? Sophomore year of college?
Yeah, junior year.
Junior college? And I'm like, and I remember hearing about that. And I'm like, wait, you're going to go to Spain? Like you don't even speak Spanish that well. Like
Barcelona?
Yeah. And it blew my mind. And I'm just like, wait, what? Where'd you get that like idea and the courage to even do that? Like to go leave for a year, go to school. And then ministry, another weird thing for me, like nothing against my brother, but like in my mind, I thought he'd do like sports medicine.
Right.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he was like going into ministry. I'm like, it's a tough gig, dude. Like,
he's like, so I had this little brother. I just had to get away.
Dude. So I guess like, I guess for me, I want to know like what, like, have you always had a desire to want to like, just like did you know you were going to leave to go somewhere else for college, or did you have a desire to like, just want to be gone?
No, you know, it's kind of funny to have these conversations with you in this setting because we always have conversations, but it's a little bit different now.
Yeah.
No, I think I went to school. I think I was going to stay home, and then the last couple weeks, I think before school started, I went, and I think mom and dad were encouraging, but they were never like, you need to do this. They were always like, hey, whatever you decide, we'll
go back.
Yeah, we're going to back you. And I mean, I would say they did that with all of the times that you'd go, because every time Mikey would go for tour, I mean, we didn't want you to go because we would always be doing stuff as a family, or it was just, but they were never like, don't do this. They were always kind of like, hey, listen, we're praying for you, whatever you decide to do
this, we can't stop you.
Yeah. We're going to support. But I remember, I mean, it's not that I was trying to, kind of get out of home or do anything like that. But I remember going to I can't really remember why I went to PUC, but when I went there, it was just a great experience. When I went to Spain, and you're probably looking for a real spiritual answer but so I had really one college girlfriend, and I remember we had started dating, and she'd come up, she said, hey, I got great news. I'm like, what's that? She's like, I'm going to Spain for the year. I'm like, oh, what's that great news?
Yeah.
And she's like, you should come. I'm like, oh,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of cool.
That's rad.
No, but I look at these different times that we, whether it's PUC or, even Spain, like there was some really great lessons that were learned that, as I look back now, really kind of impacted and kind of, kind of shifted that stuff. But I think anytime you step out and, whether it's change, it's hard. Like, it's hard to do that, but when you do that, I think there's always going to be, kind of growth on the other side. And so it's interesting because, again, youth ministry, you always have these students that are now in situations where they get into senior year, like with you guys. Like, youth ministry is the best. The worst are graduations, because you don't want to see these students that you've been, to see them graduate. Like, you don't want to see that. But when and then you have these conversations and they're trying to figure out where they're going to go, and there's this unknown, whether it's fear, whatever. But when they step out to have these same conversations with them a year later, you see how much growth they've had, or how these experiences, even though they're scary, how they've impacted them or kind of changed them. And so, I that happened to me. And so when I was able to have these other conversations with these, other students, I'd be like, hey, look, it's scary, but it's you're gonna do well. Like, you're gonna succeed. It's gonna be hard, but And so anyway, that was something that was my experience. Every time that we kind of left, it was, there's some difficulties and challenges there, but looking back now, there was a lot of growth. So
because for me, like, that was big for me, because I remember, and I don't know if I've ever really voiced this out loud, but like, I didn't want to tour. I didn't want to I like the idea of going to play places, but like the idea of being gone for, like, when I started to realize, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be gone for like a month, like 2 months, like that was like crazy to me. And I remember thinking I didn't want to do that, but then I also, like, I put myself in your spot. I was like, you went to a different country for like a year.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I was like, I can do the United States for a month. Like, that was literally my thinking. Like, I'm not going somewhere that foreign to me. I'm going to go to a new place.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's not like I don't speak the language. And I would literally have to tell myself that the first couple of years of my touring.
And I think what's interesting too is that maybe a lot of people may not know this, but Mike is that, he's like a homebody. He's into his routine, and it's Mikey can be home and just So when you started touring, I mean, it was. But though, I think what's kind of cool though, we knew how much passion you had in that for you to do that. Because again, your personality had always been like, you at home, you'd be fine at home.
Like being home.
I feel like there's a part of Mike that is very much like Riverside, born and raised. I'm gonna die in Riverside, and that's it, right? Like, and then there's this other like part of Mike that was before touring, like, untapped, of like, oh, there's a whole world out there to explore and see, and definitely leaving your comfort zone to do that is huge. Like, to me, like, I'm kind of the opposite. Like, I've been so used to just being gone all the time that, like, even this house still weirds me out. Man. Like, there's still some times where I'm like this weekend was a prime example. I was like, I don't want to be home, because I'm so used to just being gone.
Yeah. Oh, was you? You're the one that's like, let's get out of the IE.
Yeah. I get, it's my fault. I get antsy. When I'm like, this is at Loma Linda right now. It's the longest I've ever been in one place.
How long you been there?
11 years.
Wow, Mikey.
11 years. And I remember I remember first getting hired at Loma Linda and telling you, and you're like, you're at the Mecca.
The direction we pray.
How did you end up there? I was like, I don't know what's happened.
That's awesome. 11 years. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm on 11 years, and it's like I've lived now in this area just because I like to make things easy on myself. So my commute is like super short. So I've lived in like every apartment complex around here until finally, like, I ended up finding this place.
Yeah.
But then I still get those moments where I'm antsy, where I'm like, I can't be, like obviously this house is set up to like me, and I'm still like, I don't want to be here. But
you step out. I think you step out, and then you're able to look back and you see growth. Like I did a chapel at La Sierra. This is where we all went to high school. And in this chapel, like, I went into the bathroom there at the academy, and it's completely different. Like, it's super nice. Like, it
doesn't have the weird
no, like it's like a 70s horror film.
Yeah, it's like Saw.
Yeah. No, they were bad. It was bad when we were there. And so anyway, so I went there and saw the bathroom. Was so impressed with it. When I started doing the chapel, this is the high school students. I was like, it's crazy to be here to see. I mean, the school looks good. I'm like, the bathroom is ridiculous. I'm like, my brother, when he was to school here, he wouldn't poop here. Like, he would
My brother said this at a chapel for high schoolers.
I was like, he would call my dad to have him come. He'd pick him up. He'd take him home so he could poop. I'm like, this bathroom is so nice. He'd poop here. He'd poop here now.
The only time I ever started pooping at La Sierra was when I started working for Wally Crew, and I had access to that Wally Crew bathroom.
Because it was a nice bathroom.
No, No, well, I mean, it was clean all the time. It was clean all the time, but it was secluded and private. You would just go back into the shop, and while everybody else was gone, like, I mean, the sink was greasy because we all wash our hands. The orange, soap, whatever. But the toilet was clean.
Yeah.
And it was like a little closet room that you go in, and we just knew that, like, nobody else would be in the shop because everybody would be working, so you just go sneak back there and use the restroom.
But you talk about chainsaw. I mean, like, so Mike, he would call to get picked up to go to the restroom, to go home, be taken home to go home. And now,
or sometimes I would just straight leave. I would just leave school.
But
see now, I mean, but then when he was on tour, he would.
It's funny because we just recently had this discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
It's amazing some of the places that he.
As long as I don't visibly see shit on the toilet.
Yeah.
I don't care, dude. I'm even gotten to the point where, like, if there's no door, it's embarrassing, but at the same time, like, I don't care. Yeah. I just shoot the person. I just have it already in my mind. If the door opens, I'm gonna shoot the guy. Just shoot him one of those. Whatever. Not weird for me. If it's weird for you, it's on you.
Definitely like the hot Warped Tour porta potties.
Mm-hmm.
That's
what did it.
Yeah, that's what did it.
Yeah.
Like that's where it's just like there's no more shame anymore. Mm-hmm. There's no more like I'm not grossed out by anything anymore.
But that's where I saw growth with Mikey. It's like, Mikey, you're mature, man.
He's like, dude, Mike, I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry, but today at chapel, and I'm like in my mind, I'm like, what? Like, what happened? I was like, that's the story you said to tell. Thankfully, I don't coach there anymore.
When I finish a story, one of the guys is in the front row. He goes, "Yeah, they are nice."
That's amazing. So I do have one question to read, which would actually kind of help to ask you as well, because I think it kind of applies to you. But so this is from Renee, and it's very long-winded. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to read this whole thing because I want you guys all to see what we deal with when we get questions from Renee. So it says,
thank you, Renee. You give good questions.
So it says, "I'm back. Did you miss me? ? Mike will understand this. I mean, Mike Perez, that is. Gee, what are the odds that you're both named Mike?" And we'll skip that part because it's about work. Let's see. So it says, "Anyway, I was just able to get caught up on your podcast today, so I apologize for missing my weekly questions. Here's the next one. Mike Perez, I was talking to you when we went to lunch about watching the podcast of y'all talking about Spider-Man and Batman, and kind of chuckling to myself about these punk and hardcore guys being closet nerds. Emoji with the glasses. This brought to mind the picture that people who don't know most likely have in their minds of who both of you are because of what you do, singing in hardcore and punk bands." And then it says, "This program is telling me my message is too long, so I'm going to go into the next message." It says, "This sort of thing may be especially relevant to me, because Torture Culture's music is much more angry." That's fair.
Fair.
And then she said, "We need to come up with a method for this, Mike 1 and Mike 2, kind of like thing 1 and thing 2, you know?" Laughing face.
I thought we'd eventually go by our last names, but I think neither of us want to give up Mike.
I'm cracking myself up here. Sorry, back to the question. "This happens not only with people in the hardcore scene, but with other professions as well. Example being a lawyer or a pastor or a mortician." I had to throw that last one in there in parentheses. "And finally, now the question. How do you think people can help break their assumptions about who a person is if they have no ability to get to know a person one-on-one?"
Ooh, I like this question.
It says, "Okay, these are my side notes so you understand more of what I mean. I know Mike personally, and I know that you are a nerd, and I know the type of person you are, but most people don't get to see that side of you. So what is to be done to help with this? Is it on the person who is assuming or the person who is being assumed about to make sure people don't get the wrong impression? And yes, I'm also thinking about biases and prejudices in this question, in case you're wondering. Okay, gentlemen, good luck in putting my ramblings into a question that your listeners can understand. I do apologize for making it so difficult for you."
Dude, I like that question.
That's a good question.
It's a really good question.
And I really like that for my brother being a pastor. So just one of the things that is, I've gotten this pretty much since the moment he went into like ministry stuff is, especially if someone like, not that I'm a bad kid or whatever, but like people would be like, Oh, so what is that? Did that change? Was that hard for you to have to deal with, like, when your brother, like, it was almost like they were explaining it like my brother like joined another team or something,
Yeah.
or like now, I don't know.
Like now your brother is this cult leader, like completely disassociated with the family.
Yeah, but like, it's funny because sometimes people will ask me and they ask it almost, and I get the feeling of what they're saying. I think it's just like, they're like, oh, like, was that hard? Like, almost like, did you lose your brother? Like, now you can't probably talk to him the way you used to. And now, like, and then further into like getting more to recent, or like my time in touring and the craziness. And it's like, you know, is it hard not being able to talk to your brother? And I was just like, dude, my brother, first off, I knew him before he was a pastor. So that's one. And I was like, he's still my brother. I was like, you know, whether, like, I think we've never had that discussion, but early on, I'm like, dude, I'm just talking to him. Like, I talk to him.
Nothing really changed.
Yeah. Like, you know, obviously there's things that you try to, you know, keep my parents from.
And we drop less F-bombs around here, you know. Like
I don't think.
I still do. But I just don't want to run laps. So I don't know.
But I don't know. So like, and so like, you know, and I've had, there's been times when like we've had, you know, like friends coming over and they're like, oh, dude, shut, you know, I gotta be careful what I say. I was like, dude, first off, my brother doesn't give a fuck about like, like he doesn't care. He's happy you're here. Like, he's happy that you can watch the game, you know, or like he's happy we're gonna go see a movie or whatever it is.
Peacemaker.
Yeah. I was like, he doesn't care. You talk, like, you know, and so I think, like, so I don't want to answer this for my brother, but just some things in case you don't touch on them. Like, my brother and I, we like to watch sports together. He's a pastor. We watch pretty much any comic book movie that comes out.
Yep.
And I don't know. I guess we'll pass this on while I think, because I'm trying to think of like things that people would assume like about a pastor, and then I guess the dispelling of those.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll pass it on to you guys. Well, I think of these things.
It's so I guess I'll just touch on really quick, like what she said about the whole torture culture thing. You're right, because if people only know me from that band and only know me like lyrically on that, like they'd probably think like this dude's pissed and like everything's aggressive. But like there's also a lot of like I think I've said it before. Like when I went into this project, I was like, I want like with me and the dudes that are in this band, like we just wanted to make something that was like aggressive, you know, and heavy. But which I know that like nobody's had a chance to really like hear the rest of the songs on the EP just yet, because I'm a slacker. But if you look into it lyrically, like, yeah, it's pissed and it's angry, but there's like I just do this thing where it's like a storytelling mode, you know, like there's like a, you know, Caged, I guess the two songs that are out there, Caged and Burn. Caged is from a perspective of like, you know, basically like we were watching MMA fights, and then the idea was just like, I guess the whole record is almost theatrical in a way. Like, let's find ways to be angry, but like still express, you know, something that's happening in life. Right. So the metaphor behind Caged was just like, you know, yeah, I'm in this is my life. This is what I do. But, you know, at the same time, like, this isn't me. This isn't everything that I do. Like, is it like, you know, I'll never be caged. Like, I'm not just going to be held into this, you know, just this octagon. Right. And then like there with Burn, it's angry, but it's angry for a reason, because it's about how we basically got fucked over with this EP that's not even out yet, right? So like it was just like this rough situation. We were just so pissed about the scenario and what had happened that I was just like, okay, like let's talk about it, you know, because that was one of the last songs that I didn't have anything written for. And then there's other songs on the record where like it sounds so angry and aggressive, but like there's a song that Mike's on. Song's pissed, it's fast, but it's about walking away from music and not realizing how much you needed it. Yeah. Right. So like coming back and going like, oh, this is what I've been missing. Right. So there's, like, yeah, it's, if you just look at it like on a surface level, you'd probably be like, this guy's angry about a lot of things. And then like, I feel like I'm the complete opposite of that.
Like if somebody were to like break into our Instagrams and like see our conversations or like even our TikToks.
Our TikTok is it's an interesting feed. One of these days we'll do like a special like glimpse inside of the things that Mike and I send back and forth. There's a whole lot of Disney musicals. There's a whole lot of like, I turned The Little Mermaid into a wedding song for the bride and groom to walk down the aisle. Or like weird, like,
I like to think we find like insanely talented things or things that are very different.
Or like weird conspiracy theories. Oh, that's what I was going to ask earlier. How often do you get sucked into his conspiracy talk?
You don't have to say which ones, but
the silence is telling. The silence is telling. But yeah, I think going back to the question, it's tough, especially if you're in a position where people are looking at you, right? Like as a pastor, as an artist, a musician, as a athlete, whatever, right? Because people are always going to just assume, and they're going to make this, they're going to make this judgment of you even before you have a chance to say two words, right? Mm-hmm. So even if you never get a chance to talk to somebody, they're going to have these preconceived notions about who you are just based off of what you do. And I think that you just have to kind of continue with your life and live your life the way that you need to live it, or however you feel that you should be living it, because you can't be concerned with other people's opinions of you. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise, like if I were to worry about everybody that like had something to say about me, like my life would be awful. And at the same time, as far as the people that are, they always say like, don't judge a book by its cover, or, and it's really easy to say that, but it's less easy to apply that. But you just have to kind of be cognizant. Like you can't just assume that like based off of this person, that you know everything about them. I when I was on Warped Tour and I toured with this band Whitechapel, love these guys, dude. And they're so heavy. They're so like, they're like low key. Like if you listen to especially old Whitechapel records, you're like, these dudes are fucking scary, right? And then they're like some of the nicest, like coolest dudes that I've ever met, like Southern boys, just like, so, you can't, you just have to understand that like, you can't just judge somebody, like you can't judge a book by its cover, because you never know. Yeah.
I think, first, I think that's a great question. It's a really good question. I don't know who that is. What's his name?
Renee.
Her.
She used to work with me.
That was my ride or die at my last job.
Oh, okay. Cool. No, it's great. Cool. It's you guys were talking. I think first off is that we all have those. We took a trip. We took students to the Museum of Tolerance, and before you kind of even get into the museum, there's like two doors, and it says like prejudice, non-prejudice to enter the museum. And so I went to the non-prejudice one,
and it doesn't work.
The door don't open. So they make you enter. They make you enter, but you have to. Everyone has to walk through the prejudice door. You know, and one thing that sticks out. I was probably I don't know, maybe about a year or two into ministry, right? And so it was still super new, and I was, kind of figuring stuff out. And one of the things that I really struggled with was speaking. Like I would wake up like the night before, and I was, and
was it speaking in front of people?
Well, speaking in front of people, putting a message together or whatever. I just didn't feel like that was like one of my, strengths. Well, and so I was kind of getting myself ready, and Mikey was on tour, and so anyway, so I remember I went up to speak, and remember my parents were there, and Mike had come in, I think, early that morning. He might have come in early that morning or something. And so he comes into church. My folks are kind of in the front row. My family's in the front row, first couple rows. And he walks in with a mohawk. You know what I mean?
Okay.
With a mohawk. So he walks in with a mohawk and he comes in the back, and I'm speaking. Now, mind you, when I see him, it's encouraging because he's my brother. Like, he's there to support me. So he comes in, he comes to the front and sits down. And anyway, later on after the service, there was a lady that came up and said something about this person who had come in and so on and so forth. And I don't think they knew that he was my brother. And there was this comment that was made that it really bothered me, that what was said about him, just plainly on the outward appearance, right? And it bothered me, like it really bothered me. And I said, actually, that's actually my brother. And he came to church because he'd just come in, and I don't even think you had time to go home. He thought it was like a youth thing, and it was at the church, right? Something
like that. I remember showing up. I'm like, he's in the big church, because he would sometimes mostly speak in the smaller room where we did the shows, and then every now and then he'd be in the big church. And I remember like going to the small room and realizing like it's not there, and I was like, oh.
But he came in, but he still came in. He came, and I don't know if he was suiting up or what, but he came in. But the thing that was interesting is that I had this conversation with this lady, and it gave me an opportunity to kind of say, hey, well, actually, that's my brother. And a lot of times, again, the question is interesting because I think people have these ideas of who you guys both are, and with whether it's the music or the look or whatever, but. I remember having that conversation with that lady and saying, "Hey, look, if I could have the temperament that he had, or if I could have the, it really bothered me.
Yeah.
The impression that was, but what was interesting is that later on that week, or something that happened later on, that there was something that kind of came up where I found myself doing the exact same thing, and so. I think that when it comes to, we're all going to have these preconceived ideas of who people are. And sometimes we do ourselves the worst disservice because we don't get a chance to know who they are, like making an effort to know who they are. And I think that's something that, I think we just have to be aware of it. Like, that's kind of how we're built. Our default isn't, a lot of times assuming the best about people. Our default's kind of going the opposite direction. But when we take the time to kind of get to know someone and find out who they are, I think that's when you kind of get to kind of peel the layers and find out, hey, that was just kind of, as you guys were talking, I just remembered that experience very vividly,
So did it upset you more what the lady was saying just because it was your brother? Or did it upset you just because, like, on a, kind of like a deeper level, you're like, that's not cool? Or, do you think it was just like, obviously the brotherly instinct to defend your brother, but
no, that's a good question. I think initially, it was the brother for sure, but I think that helped me later in terms of realizing that, hey, I'm just as easy to do that as well. And so, and it's interesting because, again, when you know someone, it's like who they are when no one else is around, right? And with Mike, it's interesting because what you see is what you get with Mikey. Like, he's that's just, and
very calm, very aged.
And that was funny because I've had friends of mine that I've taken to shows, and my buddies would go see him play, and they would just be blown away because they know him. Right? They know him, and they're like, "Wow! Like,
did he just front flip?
Like, what? What?" But
we gotta play. I'll post the video of me doing a front flip because there is one.
Yeah,
it's on YouTube. I'll just send it.
Yeah.
So but anyway, it was something that I think we can do a disservice sometimes by not taking the time to get to know people.
I had one of those moments too, and my aunt actually went up to bat for me at the church. I showed up. I was home. And I same thing. Like, I was wearing just like a polo, like tattooed, piercings. I think at the time I had like my septum pierced and my snake bite. Like, it was full on. And I walked in and I was talking to a couple people, and somebody was talking to my aunt and was like, "Who's this guy? Like, that's all, like, tattooed and like it's just disrespectful to the church. And my aunt was like, that's my nephew.
Yeah.
And she straight went to bat for me. And I didn't know until later. Yeah. She didn't say anything to me. Like I never heard about it until somebody else was like, yo, your aunt was like defending your honor. And I was like, what? That's awesome. So cool.
That's awesome.
Well, so just going on, it's interesting they say that because I also have a very vivid memory of that because one, I just remember being like, oh no, like, but like for me, one thing that I carry with me in this is I remember as soon as he was done speaking, my first thought was to go at him and I apologized. I went up and I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. I thought it was me. And he was just like, I'm happy you're here, man. I didn't think you were gonna make it. I'm happy you're here. And that like was a big deal to me because I remember thinking like, oh, dude, I think I embarrassed everybody kind of thing. So
yeah,
that was a big deal to me at the time. So for me, something that I kind of like people getting me wrong. Like I kind of like that. I don't know. I think I've always been. For one, I just don't like when people assume, like obviously about me or whatever or anyone. But I like it. I think it's funny. Like there's some things that I do on social media just because I think it's funny to me, and I just know that like I know that I'm putting something out there, and I know that if someone doesn't know me, I know how they're going to take it, and I'm okay with that. And I'm totally okay with that.
There's a very funny YouTube review about an NBR show that we could talk about.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So,
but I like that. I like, especially as I've gotten older, and like I feel like everybody wears different hats, but I think it's fun for me when like I'm a barista and someone finds out that I'm in a band or I have a band afterward. I think that's funny because then they're like, what?
Yeah.
And then, or they find out that like I have a degree in social work now, and they're like, really? They're like, and then when I was working at my last job, same thing. People were like surprised, like, oh, like you're like in a band, like what, and, yeah, so like, then same thing with coaching. Coaching was, I had a rule for coaching too. I don't know if you remember this. Can't talk music during practice, but I'll talk with you afterwards. And I remember that being more of a rule, especially in the FOSS and all them, because that was like the class I started coming out to like my shows and stuff. Yeah. And so they'd want to like talk about like, dude, we're at like that show was so good. I'm like, after practice. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I've always liked that. I like that now. I don't know. I think it's funny to like, because obviously I do too. I've definitely judged someone beforehand. One of the things I really liked about La Sierra, the social work program that I was in, was we had to be open about our prejudice, and it was funny because everybody the first day when we talk about it, because they're like, everyone like think about something that you have a prejudice, and of course we're like, I don't really have one, and I fell into that too. I was just like, dude, I'm pretty open to things, like nothing really shocks me. And then we got into like the discussion of homelessness and homeless population, and I was like, oh shit, like I have a prejudice, because we've had instances on tour where we had some run-ins with, at my work at Daily Brew, I've had a lot of run-ins, and I remember thinking like, oh wow, okay, so I have, like, I didn't realize I have this. So I probably have other ones I didn't realize, and I thought it was really neat to kind of, like, especially when they, for me, like they're like, oh, homeless, like this is gonna be a fun chapter for you or a fun section for you, and we got to do, an outreach program for the city, which we involved, what is it, misplaced persons and stuff, and it was very humbling because I didn't, I basically realized like, oh, there's a lot more to this. I wasn't very educated on this.
I think people look at prejudice as like a very defined thing, right? And it's very hard. It's very, very hard for people to not be prejudiced to things in some sort of way, right? Mm-hmm. But what really matters is like if you're aware of it and then how you approach it, right? Like, you know, your thing with the homeless population, like you didn't even know that you felt that way, right? And there's tons of other people that probably don't even know that they feel that way too. But it's just a matter of how you approach it when you realize it and how you deal with it afterwards that really makes all the difference, you know? But yeah, man. But
I think, so going back to answer the question, basically what we've all pretty much said is like, I think you eventually, you know, in those short moments of like quick moments, for me, I'm just like, well, who cares? Like, that's how I feel. I'm like, you probably got me wrong. It's all right. My day is going to probably go the same. Like, that's how I feel. But then like, if it's over time, then I think it's like, well, eventually, you know, who you are is going to show up and people will eventually, they can make their decision from that. Yeah.
Eventually you'll be close enough to see the drafts section of TikTok and Instagram, the videos that we all never put out, the weird stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always fun. People assume, and also with music too, like people assume, I just listen to hardcore bands. I'm like, dude, you would be.
Yeah, I think people would be surprised.
You'd be very disappointed.
Surprised what he listened to.
I very rarely listen to hardcore actually. But yeah. Well, I mean, do you got any more questions for your brother?
I think this was good. This is cool.
Episode 20.
Episode 20. We were like excited. We were like, dude, if we get what was it? If we get to 5, we'll know that this is like real.
That we're actually gonna do something with it. Yeah. So 20 is a big deal. And it's cool. Like we are seeing growth. We are seeing like more people tuning in and listening. Mm-hmm. So thank you guys for that. And if you are new, or if not, hit us up at walkingblindpod@gmail.com, at walkingblindpod on all the socials, Twitter. Mike never updates it. He's on TikTok 99.9% of the time, and then those. I'm
on TikTok, Instagram. Not doing things. Just literally just on. Just like.
Follow us on the gram. Yeah. You want to plug any social media?
CoronaStateChurch.com. No, it's cool to be on here, man. Episode 20, and it's been.
Yeah. I know you were playing the long game with us and holding out on us, so thank you for showing.
I had to wait until the price of being on here was Maria's.
Oh, I see.
I think that's kind of
fair. That's fair. That's right there.
I'm so hungry. I'm so incredibly hungry. Also, happy opening day to everybody.
Happy opening day.
Actually, yeah, this will come out right before. Opening day is Thursday. So we're supposed to. He had it. I was on a hanger. He was gonna wear the Red Angel jersey.
I don't have a jersey that still fits me, but I do have a hat. So I was actually thinking about picking up a new jersey before the game.
Dude, this is like nothing. We can edit this out. So you remember that white? It's like the old school Angel shirt.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't think it fits you. It doesn't fit me. I finally had put it into like
the save bin.
Yeah.
Wait, we're not editing this out.
No, the kids could at some point in time.
Shit, anything about that.
Yeah.
So did you get rid of it?
I can find it. It's not gone. It's not gone. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah. No, the girls can wear it.
You don't want to buy them like something cooler.
Well, I mean,
that's the retro, dude.
That's the one with the halo, like right, the big A and the halo.
Yeah.
You might want to edit this out.
Oops.
Yeah. Oopsies.
Nah, it's cool. I'll find it. It's still in the house. It's in a bag. But it's yeah.
Well, on that note, later, everybody.
Bye, everyone.